Hello, friends. What a great joy and privilege it is to honor you, Stan, in this wonderful series of tributes, and also to share the space with old friends, Becca and Ren, and all of you. 25 years ago, I engaged in a spirited debate with my friend and colleague, Roger Walsh, one of the founders of transpersonal psychology. At that time, I wrote, "Astrological research is in its infancy. Sophisticated tests of astrology that embody the requisite multi-level epistemological complexity have yet to be conducted." I also praised the Tarnas and Grof data on astrology, which have been my key inspiration and formation and have been instrumental in my work for 35 years. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So goes the oft-heard refrain and challenge from materialist scientists and skeptics when confronted with extraordinary claims from frontier science, including astrology. Well, today, that demanded extraordinary evidence is in. Rigorous, replicated, voluminous evidence exists in the form of at least 70 scientific studies that strongly support astrology. Yet these data remain widely denied or ignored today by the materialist scientific community. But the tables have now turned. Extraordinary denial of scientific evidence for astrology demands extraordinary refutation of this voluminous evidence. The onus is now on the mainstream scientific community to either refute or explain these data, and so far neither is forthcoming. Failing this, the skeptics must either acknowledge these data as legitimate and their far-reaching implications, or else find themselves in stark betrayal of the very scientific principles they purport to cherish and uphold. Ultimately, it does not really matter how many thousands of scientific experiments show no astrological effects. 120 years ago, tens of thousands of physics experiments showed no quantum or relativistic effects. Yet the tiny number of experiments that did eventually toppled the entire edifice of classical physics. Today, we are at a similar tipping point with respect to astrology and frontier science more generally. So what are these hard scientific data? So much has happened in just the past few years that I'm eager to share with you today. About 70 years ago, the French statisticians Michel and François Gauquelin set out to disprove astrology once and for all using statistics. And to their shock, they actually uncovered correlations between planetary positions relative to the Earth in the birth charts of eminent leaders in various different fields. And they found correlations between the positions of Mars for the sports champions, and Saturn for scientists, and the moon for writers, and Jupiter for politicians and actors. And you can see some of these correlations here in this list. And these data continue to be replicated over the next 40 years as they continue this research. And they have a composite probability by chance of less than 1 in 5 million. These data have since been independently replicated at least 14 times. I want to now show you some of the examples of more recent studies that build on the Gauquelin data. For example, Tarvainen has, the Finnish mathematician Tarvainen has done a number of remarkable studies with the Gauquelin data, because the Gauquelin data were very well vetted and a large sample size. And with contemporary computer methodologies, it has been possible to refine these studies tremendously. And so Tarvainen has been doing this. And for example, in the standard astrological handbook by Sakoyan and Acker, there are 316 statements about astrological factors in natal charts relating to 11 diverse professions. And so Tarvainen tested these in the Gauquelin data and found that 57% of them held true, which in such a large database is highly statistically significant at about 1 in 1,000 probability by chance. And similarly, Tarvainen did studies of 2,700 mathematicians, checking 25 astrological factors said to favor mathematicians, and again found a similar highly significant statistical probability by chance. And so what this points to is that these factors seem to be existing in reality. Similarly, with a group of lawyers, 17,000 lawyers, he tested astrological factors relating to Mercury and Gemini and found statistical significance. If we look at chart rulers, and what I'm going to do now is just go through a very brief survey of some of the latest scientific research so you can see that in each of these different traditional areas of astrology, there's now highly statistically significant evidence supporting traditional astrology. So for example, for 20,000 subjects, looking at the chart ruler, which is the planet of the ruling sign of that rules the sign of the ascendant, being located in a house related to the individual's professional group with a probability by chance of 0.005, and then the ruler of the cusp being located in a house that's related to the profession, again, a very small probability, and then midpoints, finding that there's an excess of direct midpoints involving Jupiter with the sun and moon in the charts of 6,000 theologians, probability by chance, again, very small, 0.01. Similarly, in the charts of mathematicians, 0.03. And then synastry, the classic relational aspects between different charts. And in 41,000 charts of spouses, found an excess of harmonious interaspects. These are conjunctions and trines involving various planets, you can see there, with probability by chance of p-value of 0.02, and then the excesses of one spouse's sun located in the other's first, fifth, or seventh house, p-value of 0.01. And similarly with marriage partners, having Venus and Saturn aspects, transits in a study that Tarvainen did, conjunctions, sextiles, and trines, transiting various planets. In some of the Gokalan data, he found a highly statistical significant result of 0.0005. And he also found that the solar progression was statistically significant. The elements in astrology, the 4 elements of earth, water, air, and fire, in a study by Patrick Curry, found correlations with fire and earth of 0.004 and air and earth 0.007. This is correlating with the Eysenck Personality Index. The modes, cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs, Tarvainen found high statistical significance in a study published in the Astrological Journal. Also, house systems in astrology. The Koch-house system, houses of the definitions are here on the left side of the different types of house systems. And what the statistical studies are showing is that some of the house systems are more accurate than others. And the Koch-house system seems to be the most accurate overall, with these highly statistical significance for different p-values for the chart rulers in the central house. Central house means the house that relates to a particular professional group, like, for example, the 3rd house for journalists, because the 3rd house relates to communication. And you can see these statistical significance for other house systems in astrology. All of this is being generated on the computer, validating the legitimacy of scientific legitimacy of these house systems. Similarly, the orbs, astrological orbs, can be actually calculated through some of these studies. And what they're finding, for example, in this chart, this shows for a group of mathematicians, the aspects of mathematicians showing the p-value versus the orb, and showing that the orb has the lowest p-value, meaning the greatest statistical significance, between sort of 7 and 8 degrees, or somewhere in that range. And so this is very striking, because across the different studies, these orbs can actually be calculated now through these statistical programs, astrological programs, and we're finding that the calculated orbs agree with the traditional orbs from astrological wisdom going back 2,000 years or more. And you can, for astrologers who know these orbs, you'll recognize these orbs as pretty consistent with traditional astrological practice. The strength of planets, according to astrological measures of strength, are also revealed clearly and statistically significantly in the Gokaland data. Zodiacs have also been studied, and the tropical zodiac has been shown to be more accurate than the sidereal zodiac. So statistics is actually beginning to reveal and contribute to astrology in its own way. All of these recent statistical studies, most of them have been conducted in the past 6 years or less, and they are confirming traditional astrology, which goes back 2,500 years. Now, there's another very interesting set of studies that has emerged from the French researcher Vincent Gadbout, who has been matching biographies of celebrities with their astrological charts. And in this study, he did this by combining two big data analysis systems. One is an expert system called Mastro, which actually replaces the astrologer, in effect, by generating lists of keywords for each subject's astrological chart. And he compiled astrological information from 25 famous astrological writers to generate this system. And the Mastro program, you input an astrological chart and it outputs a list of keywords for that chart. And then he developed another big data tool, which he called Semantic Proximity Estimator, which automatically evaluates the similarity between keywords in one list and another, i.e. keywords between the astrological chart and the biographical history. So what he then did was to create interpretations for this system in the form of keywords for over 5,000 combined astrological factors. And he cross-referenced the meaning of each planet and sign with the meaning of each planet and aspect. So this was a huge amount of computer work, which was done with, and he also added the keywords for 858 midpoint interpretations from Ebertein's combination of stellar influences, which is also familiar to most astrologers. Just to give you an example of the amount of work that he did 5,000 of these. Here's one: Venus and Libra sextile Pluto. This particular one happens to be found in the chart of Bill Clinton. So we're combining the applicable words for keywords for Venus and Libra and Venus sextile Pluto. And the result is these words that you can see here. So Gadbout then conducted a comprehensive study with 41 celebrities in which the task is to make these matches, correct matches between astrological charts on the one hand and published biographies using only the keyword lists from each. And the whole process is automated by the expert system software. For each of the 41 celebrities, the software created an astrological list made up of between 124 and 230 words. So that's essentially the chart reading. And then these astrological words are automatically matched against word lists extracted from celebrity biographies published in the French Le Monde. And so it generates these massive data sets. And you can see here the 41 celebrities, both on the horizontal and vertical column, matching the astrological chart with the biography. So for example, for one particular chart, this is for Pablo Picasso, you can see the black dots here are when there's a direct hit, like for example, the word love on the top found in the astrological chart and the word love found in the biography. And that gets a heavy weighting when you get an exact word-to-word match. And you see those black rectangles here. And then in another case, one of these red ones, you see, for example, passion here matched with love. Passion and love are close to each other. So it's not a perfect match, it's a near miss. And those are then missing by 1 degree. And so in this very meticulous way, he developed all of these cases, and then according to the binomial distribution, they have different probabilities. He did the mathematics of this. And in the case of a direct hit, like we just saw, out of 41 cases, matching 41 charts to 41 biographies, you would expect by chance getting just one of them correct. But if you allow for a near miss, then you would expect maybe to get, and this is calculated mathematically, by chance you would expect to get 2. And then if you allow the next degree of near miss, so as you decrease the accuracy that you're going to admit, then the number of hits that you're likely to get goes up. So what we see in this chart was the expected on the top is what we'd expect by chance. So the first one is for direct hits, we'd only expect 1 out of 41. For one near miss, we'd expect 2 out of 41 charts by chance, and similarly. And then below that is what we observe in the actual data generated by this expert system. We got 6 direct matches, and we got 7 with just 1 near miss. And you can see below those the probability that this would happen by chance in the range of 10 to the minus 4th, 10 to the minus 3rd, all the way across the board. They're ranging in statistical significance, high statistical significance, 10 to the minus 4th, 10 to the minus 3rd. So he then replicated this with another 32 celebrities. So he did it for the first 41 celebrities. Then he replicated this whole thing for another 32 celebrities. And then, as you can see in the top chart, it gets similar statistical significance. And then putting all of these 73 celebrities together in one analysis, a similar kind of analysis the computer did. And of course, the statistical significances go up quite a bit as the p-values go down to 10 to the minus 4th. And then finally, he added certain of the strong midpoints. And this increased the matching accuracy tremendously, so that the p-values fell now to 10 to the minus 7th to 10 to the minus 9th. So what we have here is an experiment, and this is from the conclusions in the published journal. This experiment goes further than previous matching. It removes human agency from the matching test and achieves thereby a fairness and objectivity. The sample size is large, the number of data points is very large. With such significant p-values, the results appear to be some of the best evidence yet obtained for astrology. Because human intervention is eliminated from the matchmaking, and the evidence far exceeds chance, this study suggests there is an objective basis for astrology. So here what we're finding, here's an example of an ancient astrological chart for someone born in 15 CE on the left, and on the right, today's equivalent chart. And what we're finding is that the best of contemporary scientific evidence is validating what the ancients knew 2,000, 2,500 years ago. And this is a very exciting breakthrough for astrology. So I'm going to stop share now and conclude with the question, what is the deeper meaning of these data? What I've tried to do here is give you just a very whirlwind tour of some of the recent astrological advances in astrological research. And together, I think we are at the threshold of a major new awakening about the very nature of the cosmos. The current scientific worldview, the Carl Sagan view of the cosmos, will soon be seen to be utterly paltry and naive, crudely mechanistic and shallow compared to the vast, intimate, living reality that is being revealed by the esoteric sciences. As Rumi put it, there is a secret turning in the heart which makes the entire universe turn. To my skeptical friends and colleagues, Roger Walsh and others, I say, please either refute or explain these 70 scientific studies if you can. Because what's happened is that the mainstream scientific community is ignoring these studies. It's similar to what happened with David Bohm, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century, and his colleague, Robert Oppenheimer, and former mentor, orchestrated a rejection of Bohm because Bohm was embracing hidden variables and was embracing these deeper dimensions of reality. And Oppenheimer enjoined the senior physicists around the world saying, if we cannot prove David Bohm wrong, then we must all agree to ignore him. This is the crisis that we're in now with respect to these crucial data from astrology. And so I invite the skeptics to refute these data. And if you cannot, then know that you are warmly welcomed into this grand new cosmic integral holo universe that is astrology, and which is in fact where science is trying to lead us if we would but follow the data. Thank you.